From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on LALATE.
Hey, good midday, everybody. This is LALATE with your fourth stimulus check of 2021 update today. And boy, there is more shocking news at noontime as the President of the United States comes out and talks about your fourth stimulus package and your fifth stimulus package in the context of that jobs report you first heard this morning on Morning's LALATE. His statements may surprise you, and the reaction from Wall Street may surprise you. Fourth stimulus are those monthly stimulus checks that start in the month of July and go all the way to December. That would be the single biggest payout ever in the history of the channel. The push is underway, and the data that came out today supports the stimulus checks. But what about the other items of stimulus across the board? I'll go over what the president said minutes ago. You're going to be shocked, really shocked. And then I'll cut back to what happened this morning if you missed the breaking developing details. And guess what? The same person who commented about the breaking details earlier today, just 24 hours earlier, also announced for money to be sent out to you promptly. I'll go over what that money is and how do you get it. All the incredible great news as we go into a noontime across the board. Let's get to it. This is LALATE. Good noontime, LA, everybody. How are you? I'm so excited you have joined by me for this major developing news today. I have a fourth stimulus check update of 2021 in this recording. I also have a fifth stimulus check update today of 2021 in this recording, and big surprising details about money ordered to be sent back to you ASAP from across the last year, which includes a third stimulus. Wow, very exciting, great news. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe because this is a 24-hour news channel. If you're new to this channel, this is LA, the only 24-hour a day, 7 days a week financial news channel, delivering broadcast news from Wall Street to Main Street across the board. I don't want you to miss a single recording of what's happening that could impact your pocketbook. Also, like this video, 3,000 likes, and let's get to the breaking news. Boy. Fourth stimulus, let me first go over fourth stimulus, the amount, who gets it, how you get it. Then I'm going to go over what happened this morning that left everyone speechless. But ironically, the viewers of this channel who tuned into Morning's LALATE universally had the same opinion of the situation like I did. And then we're going to go to what the president said minutes ago. You are absolutely going to be shocked. I don't think if I was any more shocked this morning, now I'm even super shocked. If my hair was not standing up high enough, now it will be, because I'm getting very shocked throughout the day here. Let's get to that fourth stimulus check. The fourth stimulus check is the single biggest payout you ever see in the history of this channel. It would start in the month of May and continue, month of July, and then continue thereafter. Who gets it? Same people who got the third stimulus check. If you make less than $75,000 or less, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you get it. Just double the check. Household of 4 or less, you get it. And if you're on SSI or SSDI, Social Security or railroad benefits, you get it as well. Very easy to understand. Now let's go over the amount of the checks and how many checks and how quickly you would get the checks. Two different approaches. The House of Representative Democratic approach is to provide a stimulus check for the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year. The Senate approach is to the end of December. The House are more progressives, the senators are more moderates, and then the House members propose to give you smaller checks, which viewers had a lot of commentary about on Morning's LALATE. We'll be going over that in a second. $2,000 just the first month, then $1,000 a month thereafter. The senators, the amount is unknown, but word on the street is they would pay you a lot more than $1,000 a month. They would pay you much more just faster and over a shorter period of time. $2,000 a month over 6 months, $12,000 a person, or $1,400 a month over 6 months, $8,400. Who would get that? We just went over it. How would you get it? You would get it in the month of July. For the month of July represents these legislators. The vote would be in July. It would come every month. There would be no waves. It's not income. It's not taxable. You get a check every month. That is the incredible great news about the fourth stimulus check update of 2021. It would go by a reconciliation process, which is a two-bill process that takes 2 months and at 2 steps, May to July. Okay, so now you're up to date on the check, the amount, how you get it, and all that. Now let me go back to what happened before sunrise. Before sunrise on early mornings LA at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I told you that get ready for the numbers about to hit. They are the monthly jobs numbers. They were numbers that I had been reporting about for over a month. As I said, singularly the most important number you will hear on this channel that will impact the fourth and the fifth stimulus package. The fifth stimulus package is in September with the SSI reform coming up later in this video. And I said that there was 2 permutations. I was wrong because you're going to see the third event happened. I said permutation number 1, that it comes at 1 million jobs created, because that's what the month before was. 8 million jobs missing, meaning 1 into 8 means we're not restored until December. Great for stimulus, because stimulus goes out in just 60 days from now. Or permutation number 2, the jobs restored faster, 2 million jobs, meaning we're restored in 4 months, which means the jobs are restored shortly around when they're about to vote or just right after, which could cause potentially cold feet for someone voting and say, I don't know if I should do this. We're restoring the jobs. Guess what happened? If you tuned into Mornings LA today, you saw the breaking news. Not 1 million jobs restored, not 2 million jobs restored, 200,000 jobs restored. Now, what does that restored mean number? It means how many people took jobs. It doesn't mean how many jobs are offered. It means how many people took jobs. The economists and the data all showed that there were hundreds of millions of jobs available, but only 200,000 were taken. People did not take the jobs. To which immediately Wall Street analysts and major organizations came out and said they did not take the jobs because the White House is sending out stimulus for people, not stimulus checks, the other stimulus, so that they stay at home. At issue, which we discussed on this channel on Mornings LA, was the following: that this was great news for the stimulus checks, specifically the Senate Democratic stimulus checks. And viewers agreed that the real big problem here is that people are behind on their bills a lot, and they need to get caught up. And that giving little drizzles of small little checks over many, many months doesn't get people caught up. They're basically paying the interest on the past due bill. Little tiny little checks doesn't cut it. Rather, a big, massive drop of several checks over a very short period of time, which is what the senators proposed, would put people back to whole, whether they are seniors on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, rural benefits, whether they are business owners or sole practitioners or people unemployed or reemployed. And viewers generally agreed that the House checks are too small, over too long, give us a lot of money to get caught up. We are not getting caught up. You keep on drizzling. Now, Wall Street, in advance of what happened minutes ago, agreed with the viewers of this channel. And Wall Street came in and said, the White House is spending money in the wrong place. And it keeps on drizzling things progressively over time so that people don't get moving forward and back to normal. And that came with a shocking statement that came out of the department from the American, I missed my notes here, from the U.S. Business Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce said the single biggest culprit is FPUC. $300 a week. That you're just keeping money to stay people at home and not get back to work. And what I detailed on the video before this is that this signaled a real problem for the fifth stimulus package's provision, where the president wants to spend, yes, $24,000 on newborn children over 6 years. And Representative Neal, head of the Ways and Means Committee, who writes the fourth and fifth stimulus package's major parts of the bill when it goes to reconciliation, instead wants to do that over 17 years, wants to pay $84,000 to parents for kids from birth over 17 years. Viewers said, no, this is money being spent in the wrong place. So what happened minutes ago? The President of the United States came out. And what did he say? I'm just shocked. I'm really, really shocked. First, let me tell you his comments, and then I'll give you my analysis of the situation. His comments were the low number this morning, the 200,000 job taken number that came out, signals that we have to send more money to the kids. I can just sort of hear the comments. I can hear the keyboard starting to type in the live chat right now. He said, because the jobs number was so low, we need to send out more money to those kids. Let's just understand, this child labor is not illegal in the United States. And this number had nothing to do about child labor. It had nothing to do about teenage, child actors. This is a number about labor, about people who work. And the number had nothing to do with children this morning. But he said the number is absolutely wonderful news to support that fourth and fifth stimulus need to get done. That's what he said. Okay, so now let me do the analysis for you, which I'm sure you're already doing the analysis for me. First, it's great news that he's saying this is reason to get fourth and fifth stimulus out the door. Because guess what? Fourth stimulus gives you multiple stimulus checks. Fourth stimulus gets you what you need to do. And that ultimately, if the president sees, something the wrong way, but it gets you the multiple stimulus checks, we'll keep our mouth closed so long as we get our multiple stimulus checks. We'll keep our mouth closed if his analysis is wrong, because he wants the fourth stimulus to get passed. And he says, this is more reason to get fourth stimulus passed. Okay. Yeah, it's not particularly, but thank you, because I'm going to get multiple stimulus checks out of it. Second, he says there's more reason to get fifth stimulus passed. And no, it's not particularly, because this has nothing to do with children. But that gets the SSI and SSDI reform in September, so I'll keep my mouth quiet. So that is his statement, actually written a verbal statement this morning. And I just think he is not grasping the economic data across the board. Now, here's what's ironic. Here's what's very ironic, is that Wall Street analysts are now saying that Wall Street is not analyzing the data correctly, and that Wall Street is thinking this when not realizing this. What are they referring to specifically? They think that the Federal Reserve will see this data and absolutely change direction, remove support of the economy immediately, and say what? There are not lack of jobs because people don't have job opportunities. They're just not taking them. And I'm going to remove the stimulus from the economy, Federal Reserve, and that will cause inflation to go up, long-term bond numbers to go up, and then the stock market to crash. So really surprising details across the board. Here's what you need to know, is that there are two items really at subject in this video. Fourth stimulus check, which is those monthly stimulus checks that start in the month of July, which now the president is using today's events as sort of a poster child to say, yeah, we need to get it. It actually does work for the stimulus check. It doesn't work for the rest of his stimulus package. And let me explain to you why. Let's look at the data again. Here's what's at issue. Look at this. So if you got this money, you would get caught up to date on your bills. You would be put back to whole. You would feel like it's 2019, however you were in 2019. You would be put back to whole. And we would be in a much better place. People would not be fearing losing their car, their homes, or their apartments. You would be put more back to whole, or at least on the close to being put back to whole. That's the fourth stimulus package. That is what we want. That's what you want. And the president's message today, he also said, the new number today shows that I need to generate some more jobs for infrastructure. No. What he's saying is that the number today reveals that no jobs were created in the economy. That's not what this jobs number comes out every month for. That's not what this jobs number. This is not how many jobs were created. This is how many jobs were taken. So here's an example. Let's say an employer has 10,000 jobs available. Head of Papa John's appeared on broadcast news last night. Said he or she had, I think it was 20 or 30,000 store manager jobs available across the country. Said cannot get anyone to apply for them. So what would that reflect in the jobs numbers? It wouldn't reflect that there's 20, 30 jobs created, 20,000 jobs created. It would reflect zero. It would reflect zero because no one applied for them. So the president say, there's no jobs in pizza businesses. No, there's 30,000. They're just not taking them. So the president's misunderstanding what this jobs number means. But to make a very confusing situation very simple, he's saying do the fourth stimulus. He's saying do the fourth stimulus and do the fifth stimulus right away. So let me cut back to that fourth stimulus check again. The House plan at this point is looking more illogical, and viewers don't like it as well. Why? Because viewers on Mornings LALATE said, why are we drizzling these $1,000 checks slowly over time? The House plan proposes $1,000 reoccurring monthly stimulus checks over time, month after month after that. Viewers say in Mornings LALATE said $1,000 doesn't cut it. It doesn't pay anything. One viewer said doesn't pay my rent. Other viewer said doesn't pay my utilities. $1,000 doesn't cut it. What is $1,000 for? Just to pay the interest on a past due bill? That's why when you look at the Senate plan, even $1,400, some viewers saying $1,400 doesn't cut it. But because it's coming so quickly that it adds up potentially faster, 6 months, $8,400. But $2,000 really makes more sense for a lot of viewers. But of course, more viewers say a big hit, even bigger, faster, makes more sense. Ironically, what's really strange about this is that now we're signaling that the president has to do something very clear and very abruptly. And what we have not heard yet from, and boy, I'm waiting to hear from it, is those moderate Democrats. Those moderate Democrats are likely to come in and say, when you give me the recon, I want a lot more stimulus checks going out very fast, very abruptly, very quickly. People need to get caught up on their bills. And I want to stop spending money on the children and the children's daycare and the things 16 years from now. I want to get people caught up. Finally, another part of the equation is that the workplaces may not be perceived as safe. A lot of viewers in the Mornings LA video had a lot of comments that said people may not be going back because they do not feel the workplace is safe. So that is not something that the White House is accommodated for in spending in the fourth stimulus. May have to put that in there. There may have to be more money given to businesses, of which they're not giving money to businesses. There are no business grants to say, here's money to make it a safe environment. Here's what you also need to know is that the economic data over the last 48 hours and over the last week shows that people are not taking the jobs because of the salary. They don't want to just take it. That employers are raising the salary, raising it up, higher, 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 and they're still not taking it. I'll have more about this in a second and more about your fifth stimulus, and drop comments during the commercial break. I'll be back in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Noontime LALATE, our midday show, home here. From my home to your home. Hope you're having a beautiful day. It's Friday, ready for the weekend. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. 1 year and a few days. This is LALATE. I want you to be part of this incredible community. I love your comments during the commercial break. They were great. They were all over the place. A lot of different subjects you were talking about. how much money the unemployment is. It's not enough. What the workplace safe is. Great comments. People are just really bringing it. Incredible today. Keep it going. Also like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes. And if you're not become a member, consider becoming a member. What's important to understand is that forced stimulus is now really on the cusp of getting its big push. And this could be the big push. You know, there were times where in fall of 2020, we wondered what's going on with second stimulus. Why are they just not getting it done? And then finally, there was this moment where everything sort of pushed. Do you remember it? Where suddenly people had lost hope about second stimulus. And then suddenly there was a very abrupt moment. And within 7 days, we went from thinking people were going to give us a $200 stimulus check to suddenly people rushing in to try to do the CR for stimulus. This may be the cataclysmic, the epiphany moment to say, start the friggin' fourth stimulus right now. Start it right now. Now, remember, recon is a 2-month process, 2-step process, 2-bill process. But suddenly, this data shows there's something very off. We all agree. There's something wrong. And that wrong is not being addressed. And now we see that the president's comments, talking about darn children again, shows that his focus is off as well. Now, he did talk about we need to generate jobs. That his exact comment today was that the number that came out this morning says we need to generate jobs. There's no jobs available. No. And let me explain what one of the reports came out said. Jason Furman, who is a former Obama administration official, said this number shows that there were about 1.1 unemployed workers there was 1.1 unemployed worker for every job opening. So there was more than one person available for every job opening. So, this is quoting him, so there's a lot of jobs out there. There's just still a lot of labor supply. I think that this is as much a shortage of labor supply as it is a shortage of labor demand. So he's saying that people are not taking the jobs. They are out there and they don't want to take them. And that was what analysts said left and right. Now here, I don't want to go too much into what this is going to cause on the markets, because it'll confuse the video too much. But I want to say that Wall Street is so baffled by this number that this is going to be a big number of discussion for a while. People are going to be talking about this number for over a week because this data is so important. Forced stimulus, and guess what? It's going to circle back, as she would say, circle back to the forced stimulus package. The president immediately heard this number and talked about the forced stimulus package, because I told you there were two numbers that determined the likelihood of the forced stimulus package: the weekly jobs number and today's number. And I told you today's number on Early Mornings LA before it came out would be the most important number. It's important because this number was for the month of April. Well, guess what? By the month of May, the May jobs number won't come out until the end of next month. At that time, they will have already started the reconciliation process. So this was really the last number before they start the forced stimulus, multiple stimulus check process. This is like the final number before you say, okay, start doing the bill. You got 2 months to do the bill. After now, there will be other numbers coming out monthly, but they will be after they started the reconciliation process. Now let's go over to fifth stimulus, which I have not yet covered today on this channel, and why this is impacted by fifth stimulus. Now, fifth stimulus has taken many different names from this president. He's calling it the American Family Plan. And it's a day like this that you don't, if you were a Biden administration official, you wish you did not call it the American Family Plan. Because why? It should have been called something else, because today's data was not about families. It was about employees. And guess what's going in the fifth stimulus package? SSI and SSDI reform, which has nothing to do with today's numbers, because most SSI, SSDI, Social Security, and railroad benefits are not employees. They're retired. So let me go over how much you're going to get for that, and why today's data was good for you, but also why the president confused the situation. So the SSI reform would increase your benefit limits add, remove the asset limit, add an inflationary benchmark, remove the income cap, which is going to be important as to today's developing details, and then remove the marriage penalty. All right, let me go over that. And I'm also, as I go through it, you're going to hear new stuff today because it's in the context of the president's comments and today's data. What is the SSI reform? Who gets it? If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, and survivor benefits. Now let's talk about that group. Of that entire group, you could be potentially working, but not a certain amount because there's something called an income cap, which is coming up in a second. So all of you, your benefits would be raised up to a big new number. You're generally people who are not reflected ever in the labor force numbers. You're not workers. You're retirees or you can't work. So you should not be impacted by today's numbers. Second, they're going to tie your benefits to a new benchmark. That benchmark is inflation. Now, inflation is expected to go up to 2 to 4% over the next few years. That's great. Your benefits will go up as well. Third, asset cap. Asset cap, they would remove the asset cap, which dates back to the 1980s. For some of you, you can't hold more than $3,000 on hand. That's sort of important because especially if you're talking about multiple stimulus checks. Yeah, I've never mentioned that. If you're getting multiple stimulus checks and you're getting $12,000 in 6 months, where's that $12,000 supposed to sit? Some people have asset caps that can't keep that $12,000 in the bank. Number 4, here we go, income cap. Dates back to a 1960s law that says you cannot work and still stay on benefits. They want to remove that income cap if you want to work. You don't have to work. Well, this one's an interesting one today because this says, hey, if you want to work, you may not have been taking that job for a series of reasons. And finally, the marriage penalty. The marriage penalty, you either suffer from it or you're facing it because you're just getting married. They want to remove it. All right, so when would this happen? This would be fifth stimulus. Same process as fourth stimulus. 2 bills, 2 months, 2 steps, September, October. This would be impacted by your statements starting probably in November, and away we go. Now, let's now understand the context of today's news, how it impacts your fifth stimulus, and then the president's response and analyze that. The news today came out and talked about jobs. People taking jobs. Are people taking jobs? That's what the data is. It's once a month data. Are people taking jobs? What's in the fifth stimulus? Is there anything about people taking jobs in the fifth stimulus? There is, actually. There is. There is a provision that says, and this is why we need to go through this slowly as a family because this is very, very important. There is a provision in here that if you have been stalked, you can stay home and get 12 weeks of paid benefits and not go back to work. 12 weeks? Up to $1,700 or just an enormous sum of money. Does that sound like people may want to stay home potentially for that enormous payday of 12 weeks of benefits? Maybe. Item number 1. So I want to go through the list where people may not want to work because there's certain things in here that says, I'll have you stay home for 12 weeks, 20 weeks, 30 weeks. Just stay home. Don't come back. Then there is the expansion of the child care tax credit. We've already gone over that one. Child care credit, which could go upwards to $80,000. $80,000 over 17 years to little babies. Now, the babies aren't getting the $80,000. The parents of the babies. Do you think the parents of the babies want to go back to work if they're getting $80,000 over 17 years? Topic of discussion. And then finally, the earned income tax credit for hazard pay. Now, this you could take both ways. They want to make that a permanent tax credit. But here's the problem. It's only if you make less than $25,000, you get a $1,400 tax credit. 19 years or older, they want to make that permanent. It's El Cheapo. We've been talking about how El Cheapo is. What if you had offered people an earned income tax credit hazard pay of $5,000 or $7,000? Then they would get back to work and they would have that tax credit. It's a tax credit on the tax return. It's not an actual check. It would be a real encouragement to take a hazard pay job. This is really, and some of this is, you know, I do cold read. I'm not reading off a script when I do these recordings. I'm really expressing my opinion on the spur of the moment. I think that is a clear example of where the White House is missing the ball. You had a job at a grocery store. You quit. Now there's an opportunity to go get a job at another grocery store, but you're only going to get $1,400 of tax credit if I take the job. That's really cheap. Give me more hazard pay than that. I'll take the job, just give me more hazard pay. White House as a tax credit, meaning you have less of a tax burden on your tax return, or you even get a tax refund. That's how they're missing the ball. They're really missing the ball. So there you go. That is fifth stimulus. And what was the president's reaction to the news today as to fifth stimulus? In hearing the news that people were not taking jobs in the United States, he said, we need to give more money to the babies. Excuse me? Excuse me? We need to give more money to the kids. The kids are suffering. The number today had nothing to do with babies. So that's why the focus is clearly off. Usually on Noontime LA, I don't jump in the live chat, but I really want to see your reactions. Let me jump in the live chat right now and see some of your reactions right now. Oh, there's a lot of people here. What the hell, says Mike. Jennifer, so LALATE, are they saying more or less say they don't work? Well, the analysts of the analysis of today's numbers mean that people have jobs available and are not taking them. We do not know why they're not taking them, but that is the analysis. That is the consensus, that there are jobs available and they're not taking them. We don't know why they're not taking them. And then you have to go a corporation by corporation analysis. Most corporations say they have tripled the salary, the hourly rate, and people are still not taking the jobs. But that's going more into depth of the analysis. Someone said Happy Mother's Day. Chelsea says Happy Mother's Day. Talia, so my son has been unemployed before the pandemic, hasn't gotten a job, and they're applying everywhere. Thank you. How long are they keep the food stamps going? Kathy, 15% increase all the way to December. They need to do the recon now, says Cynthia. Absolutely. Marilyn, it doesn't make sense. It does make sense. I love that bridge, says Miss Vegan. That's crazy, Dean Powell. And someone else also said that's crazy. Carol said it's crazy. What is going on with the student loan debt forgiveness? He's not responding to that either. He sort of wants to, it's starting to turn into a 2020 version of the Temple Doom, where he just talks about one thing over and over again and doesn't talk about anything else. Someone says he's missing the boat. It says Jackie, but I paraphrased her words because I don't want to say it on air. Another person said that's crazy. It is crazy. It's really confusing. And with that, let me give you a big update because I always promise to. And boy, this is a recording where I have to give you a big update. And I'm going to have to go slowly on this update because it's confusing. Stimulus is not confusing. It's the present that's confusing the situation. Fourth stimulus is the monthly stimulus check that would pay you the biggest payout ever in the history of this channel and would start in the month of May as a two-step, two-bill process by recon, finish in July, and checks go out in the month of July. How many months of checks, how much of the monthly checks? Viewers at this point, in light of today's developments, agree that the problem is stop drizzling us with small little, tiny little checks every 12 seconds. Give us a big, monstrous amount of checks really quickly. We can get caught up on our bills rather than getting caught up on the interest on our debt on our bills. I guess that's the best way I could say it. And we would be put back to whole. We can't get put back on the whole with these small little checks slowly over time. The day started with a shocking developing detail when Wall Street saw the new jobs number come in, a number released every month. The number tracks how many people took jobs the prior month. Not how many jobs were available, but how many took jobs the month before. They also released how many people were unemployed. I'll go over that in 1 second. So the number of jobs that people took, Wall Street is expecting to be 1 million. Some analysts thought it was going to be 2 million. It came in at 200,000. The second part of the news, which I delivered on Morning to LA, but I haven't told you yet here, I'm going to tell you right now, is they revised the prior month's number from 1 million down. So they said the month before was also worse. Third, they said the unemployment percentage got worse as well. More people went on unemployment this month than the month before, meaning that people who had jobs left the jobs in the last 30 days. Now, that was the data. The universal consensus is that there are a lot of jobs, too many jobs, and people aren't taking the jobs. That is the situation. We don't know why they're not taking the jobs, or there's a dispute as the analysis as to why they're not taking the jobs. But there are more jobs than per person currently in the economy. Good paying jobs, middle paying jobs, jobs that have raised the salaries 3, 4, 5 times, and people are not taking them. The White House's response to the situation is, this is reason to do fourth and fifth stimulus. To which we say, okay, no, it's not, but we'll keep our mouths shut. We'll zip our mouth shut because that gets us a multiple stimulus checks on the fourth stimulus package and gets us our SSI reform under the fifth stimulus. The analysis by the White House is totally incorrect, but hey, if it gets us what we need to get, then we're going to keep our mouth shut. And it's not the first time we've done this before on this channel. There have been other times when data does not support the analysis, but it gets us where we're going. But the White House also said it signals why we have to send out more money to the babies. So long as you send out the money to the rest of us, God bless the baby. So long as we get our multiple stimulus checks, we get our SSI reform, we get the things we're supposed to get, then, you can do your climb. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. I don't want you to miss a single breaking development across the board. Also, like this video, and if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Meantime, the Department of Labor announced yesterday that states that had not refunded money back to you need to refund it right away. Let me go over that data. If you had received unemployment benefits before from your state, more about unemployment, had received unemployment benefits from your state, and then your state reached out to you and said, oh, we overpaid you by mistake. It was our mistake, not yours. We had a computer glitch and we overpaid you the money, but you got to return it back to us. Naughty, naughty. And you return the money back to them. Well, the Department of Labor, Marty Walsh, that same guy from Boston, who spoke this morning about the labor number, came out 2 days ago and said, nope, the states made a mistake. They got to return that money to you right away. So you're going to see thousands of dollars returned back to you if you return the money back to your state. You know how much money you had to refund back if that is your situation. I'll have more about the other developing details, for the eviction moratorium, to the ending of FPUC and the other states coming up in just 2 hours from now. You see, there's a lot of news. It's like an avalanche of news. You're watching currently noon LALATE. I'll be back in 2 hours from now if I don't get smashed by a tsunami of other news in 2 hours from now. Then we go into afternoons LALATE, evenings LALATE, and LA late night. Stay informed, stay focused, keep on smiling. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you subscribe and like this video and stay with LA for more.